Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday, February 10th. So good to be here and see everybody hopefully interacting. Unfortunately, I apologize. I did not set the link up in advance, so I do apologize, but hopefully some people will be able to tune in. Okay, so today we're going to continue our conversation on Canva because that seemed to be a really popular conversation. And I believe it's next week. Let me double check my calendar here. No, 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, we have a live in the group with Brenda Cadman, who is a certified Canva pro, which is really, really cool. So we'll be live in the group at 11 a.m. on Tuesday, the 22nd. So be sure to tune in for that because it'll be a fantastic lesson from Brenda. She is so talented when it comes to Canva and all the insights that she can share, which totally and completely beat anything that I can share with you on that. But today we're going to be talking a little bit about presenting in Canva versus PowerPoint and when some of the differences, some of the similarities, and then a little bit about when to use both or when to use each, I should say. So when using Canva to present, it's a web-based system. Okay, so anywhere you have internet, you can pull up a browser and present from it, which is pretty cool because that means you don't need a USB drive to transfer the PowerPoint and things like that. However, Office 365 is web-based too, so you can actually log into your Microsoft account and get your PowerPoint presentation that way. Sometimes we have a lot of images and things like that. I think ultimately it's based on what you are presenting and to who's going to be helping you run the presentation and things like that. So, you need to make sure that you're thinking not just about your audience and what they want to see, but also who's helping you, right? Your support team, or if you're speaking at a conference and they're used to PowerPoint, you may just want to do PowerPoint. But if you're able to run off your own laptop or you're presenting virtually and sharing your screen, that changes what you're able to do, right? So let's go ahead and jump in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Share my screen, share screen 2. Okay. So I'm going to take myself off of here just so you can see things. So this is a presentation that I did in early 2021 on virtual event tips and trends. I created this and I actually exported it into a PDF and then shared it that way. So they have tons of different templates in Canva. You can see what's pro and what's not, and that's the upgraded piece. And then let's see what else. But again, it's a short presentation, but we can definitely show enough about it. So inside Canva, you can actually present. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the present button. And it says standard, you can auto play, presenter view, things like that. So a couple things to note. One, presenter view. So like PowerPoint that will show you your notes and the next screen and things like that, presenter view will allow the same thing. And then you can also present and record, which is pretty cool if you want to record your presentation, which you can also do in PowerPoint. Okay. One other thing to note is the notes section. So you can actually type notes or your script for each of your slides, which is good and bad for both PowerPoint and for Canva, because you don't want to be reading a script. You would like to be a little bit natural, right? So that's just something to keep in mind and stay conscious of, is you don't want to script out too much. But that doesn't mean that you don't have a handful of bullet points noting what you want to talk about. You can also animate things. So, you can do effects, you can animate. So again, I can have things pan in, fade in, shift in, bounce in. And again, you can do most of these inside PowerPoint also. They're a little bit different in terms of how that works. But again, you can see all the different things that are there. And then you can see which ones are pro with the crown there too. Okay. So let's go ahead and hit present. And we're going to go ahead and do a standard presentation. And what you can see here is you have my presentation, but take a look at that little mouse glowy thing so you can see where I'm pointing, right? Which I tend to like for virtual presentations. It goes away if you're not moving the mouse. And then if you're moving the mouse, it will show up so that you can circle areas on your screen and in your presentation. It also moves forward just with a click, just like PowerPoint. So you can see one of my favorite quotes. And again, I did this at the beginning of 2021, so I'm just showing this to you. But again, I could talk about this inside here. Couple things, and I posted a few of these tips earlier this week, but you can do a bunch of different things. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it. Let me, hopefully you will, but we're going to do a drum roll. Oh, no, of course, I've got my sound going to my headset. So it actually does sound like a drum roll. I'm wondering if I can, bear with me. Hopefully you won't get too many of my notification pop-ups here, but let's try that again. Ooh, got to be clicked on that. So pretty cool. It just does it. It'll keep going until you hit the D key again. You have to be active inside your Canva presentation and be presenting live in Canva to be able to do it. We can also do C for confetti and have some confetti in celebration. And again, you got to think about, again, earlier when we were talking about which to pick either Canva or PowerPoint to think about who would be running your presentation. But I also think that it's important to think about your audience too. You don't want to be too crazy in terms of what you're doing. If you are presenting and you need your audience to be quiet, you can do a quiet. And again, I can type the cue and he says, shh. And then we can type the cue again and it can go away. And then O is for bubbles. So you can have a lot of fun with different things like that. You don't have to hit O again on bubbles because it'll only do one bubbles. It's just like the confetti. So they go through once and they're done. And then C for confetti. Oh, look, the confetti came in different this way this time. I'm wondering if it does it again. Okay, so that was in the middle. And then that one's from the top. So again, there's a lot of different ways that it'll do things. It can be fun, but it can also be a little bit overwhelming, if that makes sense. So be careful. Do not get too excited with the different templates and all of the different things that they have inside of Canva, because you can definitely get carried away. And you don't want to do that with an audience. Okay, so let me change over to PowerPoint. So PowerPoint, we're more used to it, right? So we've been using it for decades, if you're me. And if you're younger than me, you've probably been using it in school. A lot of the schools are actually starting to use Prezi more often, if you want to check that out. But again, Prezi, Canva, they get a little bit dangerous because they become almost overdone in terms of what people are using. And for a business presentation, I don't really need to have a lot of confetti. I don't need to have a lot of drum rolls. But if it was an internal presentation and I'm trying to get everybody excited and announce a winner or something like that, then maybe I would want to add a drum roll. But again, think about your audience and what they're going to use. And then when you're picking PowerPoint or Canva, think about what you want to do too. So, okay. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And I'm going to go ahead and use Let's do this. I'm going to use one of my webinar presentations. So you can see I've got my my script here for my webinar that I did. You can see all my different slides are here. I can navigate through them similar to how it was laid out in Canva. But again, it just gives me some insights. I've got the presenter view here, which is just turning on and off with a click. Depending on where I'm presenting and what I'm presenting, I do turn that on and off. You can pick your primary or secondary monitor or make it automatic. It'll let you know what things you're working on, which is interesting because, yep, I did pick the wrong one. So let's go ahead and pick the other monitor. And I can present from current slides. So you can see what I have in here. Allows me to present from different ways in different positions. I can animate, I can transition the slides just like in Canva. I can go ahead and add effects and photos, and you can see this thing blurred out part of the picture. So there's a lot of design effects. PowerPoint can be easier at times than using Canva because you can have a template and the branding. You don't have to necessarily do everything with it. And then a lot of times when you're editing it, they'll give you design suggestions and things like that. So again, you've got transitions, animations, you can record it. You can actually present in Microsoft Teams, which is also good because a lot of companies are using Teams nowadays. So just something to keep in mind. But again, we're more comfortable, I think, as a rule with PowerPoint than we are with Canva. But if you're presenting virtually, you're presenting in Facebook, you're presenting to a group, you might want to think about Canva. Again, the way that the pointer has highlighted, the way that you can do some of those effects, they may add value to your presentation. And it's just something to think about. So I just wanted to show you guys a little bit of an overview so that you don't necessarily have to think that you have to export your Canva presentations to PDF and present those in full screen. Because I think when you present out of a PDF, it just doesn't look right 100%. Definitely doesn't have the same effects. But again, you can get a lot of the same effects that you would have in PowerPoint in Canva and vice versa. Just not some of the bells and whistles that you have in Canva. But again, think about your audience, and think about your brand. Is Canva appropriate for your brand? It might not be, or it might be okay if you take a conservative approach to designing your slides and not adding too many drum rolls or any drum rolls or confetti or bubbles or any of that stuff. So again, your brand's going to factor into that. Your audience is going to affect which one you choose. And then you'll also want to know, who has, let's turn that off. Sorry, I've got noises coming out of the notifications. And then you'll also want to, I guess, again, take a look at who's running your equipment or where they're going to be running. You don't want to present virtually through a web-based system if you're not sure about the internet quality, right? So sometimes different venues have different internet quality. And so you're going to have to make sure that you download a PDF of your Canva presentation or a hard copy of your PowerPoint presentation so that you have that backup. And that backup is extremely important when you're presenting. And just again, something to think about for your next presentation. And if you are presenting online, I encourage you to try Canva if you haven't already. And if you're presenting virtually, but if you are on site, again, really think hard if it's worth moving away from PowerPoint because so many people are so used to PowerPoint. You do not want them messing up and stumbling and doing that with your presentation, right? Because they don't know what they're supposed to be pulling up and they don't have the right site loaded, or maybe they're not logged in, or maybe it's a shared computer, and you don't want to log in on your Canva on some strange person's computer, etc. So lots to think about, lots to do, but lots of bonuses and additional details to hopefully get you thinking about doing things a little bit differently. So thank you for everybody who tuned in. I appreciate it. If you're watching the replay and have any questions, please feel free. You can do hashtag replay and message me inside the video. I'll be happy to answer those questions all along the way. I would say what next week's video is, but I don't remember. But I'll be getting that scheduled for you. And I hope to see you tuning in with me live every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern here inside the Facebook group and on my YouTube channel. And looking forward to helping you guys do more with less for your marketing in 2022.